for Mom and Dad. A long time ago in Edmonton, Alberta, a cute little girl was born to Mr. and Mrs. Boer. Meanwhile, on a farm in Edam, Saskatchewan, a very cute little boy was growing up in the Goutbeck family. Now, Jennie was a jovial young woman. You can see the bluebird of happiness just above her head. And Henry was a dapper young man. When his family moved to Edmonton in 1929, he climbed to the rooftops to find the girl of his dreams, and he found Jennie. As time would tell, Henry and Jennie had a lot in common. Jennie was an honors student in music, and Henry was an honors student in grade 7. Jennie came from a good Christian family, the Boers, and Henry came from a good Christian family, the Goutbecks. As a matter of fact, Grandpa Goutbeck uprooted his family from Saskatchewan and moved to Edmonton to find a good church community, and that is why Henry and Jennie first met in church. However, the reaction of Jennie's family was not too positive. Their friends got together to discuss the matter and thought it might work. But when Henry came to visit, Jennie gave him the cold shoulder. Henry's friends tried to build him up so he could try again. And finally, true love prevailed. Now, ever since Henry was a little boy, he wanted to be a sailor. So in 1944, he went off to join the Navy because, after all, he didn't want to be forced to join the Army where he might get shot and fall in the mud. Jennie was heartbroken, and well she should be, worried about her man. In the Navy, Henry took up with some strange fellows. But being around all that water, Henry got his feet wet, and when he came home, he decided to take the plunge. Henry and Jennie had heard how much fun it was to take care of children. So one day, while babysitting for the Van Dykes, they discovered they had something else in common. Children were kind of fun. Mom told Dad to go down on his knees, and Dad says he didn't get a chance to finish asking before Mom accepted, and they became engaged. And now for some candid photos of the family's reaction to the big announcement. Bertha kept it under her hat. George was completely bowled over. Now John thought it was a smart idea. And Riki, the sister, went to get the camera so she could take a picture of their adorable little brother Ken. Well, or whoever that is anyways. As for Henry's family, Pete offered to loan his car for the honeymoon. Artnita gave him some fashion tips, and Henry was pleased with his new look. But Jennie, well, she turned up her nose at that. The wedding took place the first day of spring, 1946. The reception had very cool entertainment. As a matter of fact, as a prank, this cowboy stashed his boots in the newlyweds' fridge. Henry and Jennie were as excited as a couple of kids to get their new upstairs apartment. But soon Henry got to work building Jennie her dream home. This is the kitchen of their 51st Street house. Notice the pig cookie jar that went with them to Florida and was eventually saved from being crushed between two fast-growing palm trees. On Valentine's Day, 5 long years after the wedding, they were blessed with a very adorable, cute, darling, wonderful, precious, lovable, sweet daughter, Jana. Oh, yeah, and Dawn came along, and yeah, even after that came Leona. Okay, so sometimes there were disagreements, but we don't want to talk about that. Mostly everyone got along just fine. Friends came to visit, and life was good. Henry worked at Canada Packers, and besides attending to her family, Jennie volunteered as the church organist. She's on the left. She also directed the children's choir. And in 1966, Henry moved his family to 10 acres on the outskirts of Edmonton. We remember those good times we all had around the fire pit. The children grew up. Jana married a real doll. Don married his high school sweetheart. And Leona was dragged off to BC. Then came the grandchildren. Tony's all-stars, Randy, Doug, and Greg. Shirley's prize pupils, Tracy and Valerie. and Ted's framing crew, Chris, Dave, Mark, and Curtis. Their work was done, but the fire was still burning. As they began their travels, we asked the neighbors to keep an eye on them. There were stories about Mum. She's the pregnant bride, second from the left. But it isn't all parties. This is just a picture of normal retirement living. And as we look through these pictures, we notice Mum doing a lot of dishes. Here she is bribing a grandchild to help her. And here she's invented the first automatic outdoor dishwasher. Now maybe you wondered what they did with all those years of retirement. Once they both permed their hair and then went on a Caribbean cruise. Often they did the beach. And they hung out with their grandchildren. And tried to keep out of trouble. They enjoyed good food together. And they would go out, all dressed up, and they tried not to let their physical inconveniences, Mum has a cast, slow them down. Mum liked to paint, and Dad enjoyed his plantation. Our slideshow is now coming to an end. Mum and Dad had almost 60 years together. March 21st, 2010 would have been their 64th anniversary. We hope you all enjoyed the memories.